Hey, welcome back to Art Center. I'm Peter the Duche, here with my co-host Jacques Gerard. And tonight we're going to break down the top 5 pieces of Enlightenment art for you.
These artists we're about to show you are known for the renewed attention to Greco-Roman art and literature. They convey moral messages about the Enlightenment using 3 terms of style. 1. Subdued color palettes. 2. Frieze-like compositions. And 3. Linear styles. All to help create clearly defined forms.
You like those clearly defined forms, don't you?
Oh, yeah.
Right. Before we begin, we'd like to give a quick recap as to how the Enlightenment notions were embodied in a specific artistic style known as neoclassicalism. Neoclassic art attempted to recreate high classicism seen in ancient Greek, Roman, as well as Renaissance art.
For starters, Enlightenment thinkers such as Descartes, Voltaire, and Rousseau all popularized ideas against the church and the monarchy. This affected mainly the French and the people's relationship to their sovereign.
Right.
Another Enlightenment thinker would be Immanuel Kant, who urged people to start thinking for themselves and defined enlightenment as humankind's release from its own immaturity by stating, "Immaturity is the inability to use one's own understanding without the guidance of another."
Other factors that brought about this renewed interest in the classical styles included the Grand Tour of Europe and excavations of Pompeii and Herculaneum. Okay, back to the countdown. Be on the lookout for the 3 characteristics we said to define neoclassicism.
Our number 5 slot actually begins with an Italian artist gone British. Angelica Kauffman's 1785 work, Mother of the Gracchi, is a piece that tells the story of an ancient Roman figure, Cornelia, the mother of Tiberius and Gaius Gracchus, who are set to become political leaders in their attempt to reform the Roman Republic. When a neighbor drops by to show off her newly acquired jewels, Cornelia responds to her conceited action by showing off her 2 courageous sons. This work is exemplary of Enlightenment ideals because it highlights the Greco-Roman emphasis on virtue, especially in the matters involving the advancement of the state. This was especially important among Enlightenment thinkers who saw an end to the oppressive and unfair nature of the 18th century absolutist monarchy in France and eventually ignited the revolution. In terms of setting and form, the scene is placed in a Romanesque setting with stone floors and columns, and the subjects are dressed in traditional Roman garb. This work is composed with subdued colors and a linear style that oppose the adornments of the Rococo. The smart term used to describe this work is exemplum virtutis, which means an example or model of virtue.
It's just so much virtue, man.
Sorry, man. Pull yourself together.
Okay, and I'm back.
All right.
Okay, back to number 4 on our countdown. It's a figure you should all know very well. It's George Washington. Now, we all know Washington was obviously an American military and political leader, but this particular sculpture of him was done in 1789 by a Parisian named, wait for it, Jean-Antoine Houdon. Though many neoclassical works seem to focus on French culture in the era leading up to the Revolution, we must first consider the effect the enlightened thought had on our founding fathers here in America. 20th century historian Peter Gay has gone as far, in his opinion, to say that the Declaration of Independence is actually full of Enlightenment programs. Anyway, back to the sculpture. The effects of enlightened thinking are quite obvious. Firstly, Washington is being celebrated for his contributions of founding of the democratic state. Ding, 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 ding. If you were reminded of the Greco-Roman emphasis on democracy, you're making the right connections here. Although Washington chose to be depicted in contemporary clothes as opposed to classical garb, this work still manages to promote classical idealism with reference to the Roman Republic. Washington leans on an ancient Roman fasces, a bundle of rods with an axe attached. In ancient Rome, this figure was used as an emblem of authority. Behind Washington, we see a plow. That represents Cincinnatus, a patrician of early Roman Republic who was elected dictator in a time of war. But he goes on to resign soon after the war was over to return to his regular life as a farmer. Once again, this work promotes the importance of a virtuous state.
I like that little ding, ding, ding thing you had going there. That was pretty, game show-esque.
You like that?
Yeah.
I've been working on it.
Yeah, I'm sure you have. But enough of that. On to number 3. This work differs from a lot of the other ones we have in a pretty outspoken way. Jean Chardin's House of Cards, done in 1737, is a work that slightly predates neoclassicism. but still exemplifies many Enlightenment ideals before the onset of revolutionary fervor. This work is a genre painting, a simple portrayal of a young boy holding a playing card, hesitating for a few seconds before placing the card on a miniature card tower. This work epitomizes everything that opposes the lavish, meaningless decorations that define Rococo works. Rococo is an artistic style that immediately predates neoclassicism. It has often been criticized for its lack of moral messages and use of excessive, colorful embellishments. In House of Cards, there is no extravagant embellishing or highlighting that draws the attention to one area of the painting. Chardin uses the simplicity of the scene as an artistic technique, allowing viewers to forget past and future conventions and determine for themselves the significance of this captured moment. On a less abstract level, Chardin's paintings represent many of the social sentiments that overcame the public sphere of the 18th century. In the years before the Enlightenment era, French obsession with courtly affairs was reflected in the nation's artwork. The artist's work blessed the nation with a reminder of everyday simplicity and reality that had otherwise been non-existent for many decades. The minimalism of Chardin's domestic paintings provides further implications of a growing movement towards secular thought. Up until the popularization of secularism in the 18th century, the church and state had acted as one body, influencing the lives of people and artists in a way unimaginable by today's standards. In this sense, Chardin's artistic style embodies two of the most important social and political trends of the Enlightenment in a most quietly powerful manner.
Yo, I'm not gonna lie, that last painting was pretty boring.
Did you not listen to what I just said? That's kind of the point.
Blah, blah, blah. Enough with the snooze fest. Let's get back to the countdown. Though he may have taken a break from an emphasis on civic virtue in House of Cards, number 2 on our countdown brings us right back. Jacques-Louis David's 1784 work, Oath of the Horatii, reminds us that enlightened painters believed that their work should embody some sort of moral code and inspire civic virtue. Much like Kaufman, David derives his subject matter from a popular Roman story of noble triplets and their brave contributions to the state. The story told by Roman historian David goes like this. There was some sort of serious dispute between Rome and Alba. Not that Alba. I'm talking about the enemy neighboring state of Rome. They thought about going to war, but these two prominent families, the Horatii of Rome and the Curatii of Alba, had triplets. The 6 of them decided to duke it out, and whoever won would be free to settle the dispute. The Horatii go on to win, but one of their sisters was engaged to one of the men that the brother killed. The brother was so upset that the sister was mourning the death of the enemy that he kills her. Remember Greek and Roman sense of nationalism? Civic virtue is so incredibly important here. This is why he killed his sister, for the greater good. David never actually talks about an oath, so why does he depict an oath? The Bastille storming in 1789. These ideas had definitely started to boil by the 1780s. David didn't want to show the aftermath because this would promote violence. By depicting the oath, he instead promotes service and loyalty to one's nation for the greater good, even if that meant revolution. The government, of course, foolishly loved this idea of taking the oath to their nation, but they failed to realize the deeper meaning. It's almost like the Bourbon monarchy sealed its own fate. The Academy was the visual arm for the government at this time, and it manifests this nostalgia for ancient Rome. People knew this story because it was a very popular ballad and a play during this time. When first displayed, this painting was depicted as pure nationalism by the monarchists, but subterranean revolutionaries saw it as a call to arms. No one is 100% sure of David's political stance, but one can guess after seeing this work. On a more technical note, neoclassicalism is quite evident in David's use of linear style, as his figures are placed in a singular horizontal plane with Greco-Roman columns in the background. Once again, we see subdued colors and a frieze-like composition of his characters.
That's all very well and interesting and cool and stuff, but I said we flash back to that picture of Miss Alba we had on the screen a second ago.
Are you really thinking about girls when we're getting ready to release number 1 on our countdown?
I suppose you're right. Alright, so we made it here, folks. We're at number 1. Can you guess what it is? Drum roll. Well, if you guessed David's most famous artwork, Death of Marat, you're right. This 1793 work is the epitome of neoclassicism and the manifestation of Enlightenment thought in the piece of art. The story, Jean-Paul Marat was a writer and anti-monarchist in the years leading up to the French Revolution. He was unfortunately plagued with a skin condition that required him to soak in water almost all the time, but this didn't stop the revolutionary writer from spreading his ideas. He created a makeshift desk next to his soaking tub in order to write letters and pamphlets. One day when he was receiving visitors, a member of the pro-monarchist faction walked right up to Marat and gave him a fatal stab in the chest. Before he was removed from his tub, his good friend David rushed to the scene to jot down a few sketches of the assassination. David uses these sketches to whip up a painting of the murder scene that would serve to inspire thousands to be sympathetic to Marat's plea for political change. Young people in support of Marat's cause carried this work through the streets like a war standard during the funeral procession. While war standards usually served as a representation of the monarchy, this painting of Marat became a symbol for the revolutionaries. They used the work to unite around this ideology that ideas and actions of one man had the power to revolutionize French society and politics. Though this work was not a history painting in the same sense as David's Oath, it is an example of how David used a contemporary event and dramatized it in such a way that it received academic recognition as an important history painting. Once again, the work adheres to common neoclassical stylistic characteristics with its clean, crisp lines and its subdued color palette.
Alright, that's our countdown. And that's it for us on Art Center.
Oh, wait. I got a little surprise for you. We kind of left something off the itinerary here. So,
wait.
We got time for one more thing?
We never break the itinerary. Come on, man. You know that.
Dude, it's on the...
Did someone say, come on, man?
Yes, we did, sir. Ladies and gentlemen, world-famous art critic and editor of his own encyclopedia and personal best friend of mine, not yours, Dennis Diderot. And he's here today to help us lead an important section of this show we like to call... Come on, man!
Thank you, Monsieur. For our first work, we have John Honro Fragonard's The Swing. Seriously, what is even happening in this painting? A young girl swinging ecstatically in some garden, losing her shoe in a tangled mess of green? And who are those other two guys? I can hardly see anything through the mounds of unsightly overgrown weeds. Honestly, this work could not be any less realistic or of any less importance to society. Come on, man. Okay, so now we're looking at Antoine Vétu's Pilgrimage to Cythera. So it appears that we are looking at a group of people on a happy-go-merry journey to the mythological island of Cythera. Only they are dressed in contemporary garb and appear as one with nature. Are you kidding me? And what are these little babies buzzing around like flies? Cupids? More like stupids. Ha! I'm sure they'll provide some serious protection from the rabid wolves awaiting you people at the bottom of that hill. Come on, man. Okay, our final work is François Boucher, Madame de Pompadour. Here we see a lovely woman of letters dressed to the T. Not only is her skin glowing, but her dress is pushed forward and cascades towards her viewer in a way that foreshadows modern 3D technology. What is this, Avatar or something? And what's even the point of this work? Hey, look at me, I'm really rich and can afford to have like 1,000,000 bows on my dress. Are you trying to picture her as an intellectual while still playing up her femininity? Lovely and beautiful, but also ridiculous and stupid. Nice try. Come on, man.
Alright, folks, that's all the time we have for now. So hopefully, by now you've already got a firm grasp on how 18th century artists viewed the artistic era that preceded them and served to inspire the move toward neoclassicism.
Is that it? We're done?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, we're done.
Alright, that's it for us here at Art Center. Until next time, I'm Peter de Duche. It's my co-host, Jacques Gerard. And our surprise guest, Dennis Diderot. Coming up next, Real Housewives of the Enlightenment.